Man, y'all got me getting up off of my blackjack table to go cut a video. Why? Because the news ain't stopping. Well, we knew this was going to happen, right? California trying to fight to keep CARB. But not just California. I can't believe this, but it doesn't matter. No matter what California tries to file, what California says, the federal government has spoken. And there is a thing called federal supremacy, and they can appeal to the Supreme Court all they want, and we're going to talk about what specifically they are appealing. And the Supreme Court is going to smack them down. The court is largely conservative. So, yeah. Anyways, let's talk about what happened with the Attorney General Bonta from California. And yeah, it's over for the waivers in California and CARB. It's done. But let's talk about what they're filing and what they said, because it's pretty funny. So welcome on back to TK's Garage. I am actually on the road, as you can tell. I'm not in my normal background here. Attorney General, I'll put it up here on the screen. Attorney General Bonta urges the U.S. Supreme Court to affirm decision dismissing challenge to the Clean Air Act waiver. This is Oakland. California Attorney General Rob Bonta today filed a brief urging the United States Supreme Court to affirm the Court of Appeals decision in Diamond Alternative Energy versus the EPA. The case concerns a waiver of preemption granted by the U.S. EPA in 2013, which authorized the California Air Resource Board to enforce standards promulgated in 2012 requiring automakers to reduce greenhouse gases and zero-emission vehicles. Petitioners who are in the oil and biofuel industries did not challenge the waiver when it was first issued. Instead, they filed their challenge nearly a decade later, after the federal waiver was reinstated in 2022. Following an unlawful rescission in 2019, petitioners argued that the reinstated waiver exceeded EPA's authority under federal law. Attorney General Bonta, with Gavin Newsom, the governor, and the California Air Resource Board led a group of states and local governments to intervene in the case to defend against the challenge. In April of 2024, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit dismissed the challenge, ruling that petitioners lacked standing. That won't be the case this time. That was because by the time the petitioner's case began, automakers were producing a large number of zero-emission vehicles due to consumer demand and the automakers' past investments. Petitioners failed to show that judicial relief would likely redress their asserted harm by increasing fuel sales. Congress recognized that California has special expertise and experience in protecting our people and our health and our environment for preventable pollution through vehicle emission standards, said the Attorney General of California. Our solutions have encouraged enhancements in cleaner automotive technologies and improved the health and well-being of communities statewide. Anyways, For more than 50 years, the Clean Air Act has helped usher in clean air and healthier communities across the globe, said CARB Executive Officer Dr. Stephen Cliff. Again and again, California experience shows environmental protection and economic prosperity go together. So they get into the Clean Air Act and what it means, but the reason why they're filing it now is because the Clean Air Act at this point is pretty much void. Anything that had teeth to deal with emissions, power plants, all of that stuff, those rules were reviewed by Congress under the Congressional Review Act and then rescinded, including California's waiver. Now, there's other legislation that's pending that would do the exact same thing, like the Transportation Freedom Act, which I'm sure you've heard of. But what this basically does is bankrupt CARB. And the Attorney General in California doesn't like that because guess what? They have a lot of friends that are on that California Air Resource Board. Remember when I told you earlier this week there were a lot of employees that were freaking out there and looking to move to different state agencies? That's why. They knew that this was coming and that it was basically going to happen as they watched Congress pass CRA by CRA by CRA to where every single rule fell like dominoes. Doop, 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 doop. Gone. See ya. So what happens now? Nothing. The Supreme Court could decide, we're not going to look at it. The EPA has already made their decision and Congress has already ruled on it. So we don't have to talk about it. There's nothing for the Supreme Court to review. Or the Supreme Court could say legislation has been passed. Congress has reviewed this and the EPA said no, and it's over. Pretty plain and simple. Not a difficult thing to do here. This isn't rocket science when it comes to this. It's simple legislative law. California may not like it, but guess what? They don't have a choice. You could decide to not be part of the United States anymore, California. I'm sure Gavin Newsom would love to have that on his record before trying to run for president in 2028. But Gavin Newsom has also said here recently that CARB may have gone too far, and he's tried to take a middle-of-the-road path, knowing what was coming from the EPA. So if you haven't heard yet, we've done videos about it. You probably saw them yesterday, where we talked about and we showed the full statement from Lee Zeldin, the administrator of the EPA, basically rolling back emissions. And I've seen, news articles. You guys probably saw that last night where I published that video where CBS News was basically crying like a bunch of little bitches. But I find this interesting from California, trying to fight to save CARB. And what they're actually doing is they're not trying to fight to save CARB. They're fighting to try to save funding, because they'll get funding from the U.S. government to do it. Well, I don't know if they've been under a rock for the last month, but DOGE has already been cutting all that. And if you didn't think they weren't going to cut funding to California for their crazy emissions practices, they have another thing coming. Anyway, I'd love to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. To me, I find this hilarious. Oh, I got to show you all the states that also are backing this guy. Let me show you that here too. So you can see all of the states here that are also backing the Attorney General in California. We got California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Minnesota, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina. Guys, there's no excuse for this crap in North Carolina. I understand that it's a purple state because of, Charlotte. But, bro, come on, man. Oh, my God. Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington, District of Columbia. So basically, outside of North Carolina and Maine, most of Maine, all of those states have a certain type of political leaning. And it's to the left, okay? So, am I concerned about it? No. North Carolina's in there because of their, because of Roy Cooper and Joshua Stein, who's the Attorney General of North Carolina. But outside of that, negative Ghost Rider. All these states could want to, can I say it? Should I say it? I should say it. All these other states can want to dick ride the state of California. But last time I checked, dick riding was not a form of transportation. You should get off. And lose, because you're going to lose anyway. We're back to standards set in 1968 with our common sense, because as I've said multiple friggin' times, and science has proven this, the vehicles that we have today are 60 times cleaner than vehicles in the 80s. So Having emission standards from the late 60s or early 70s is great. It means we can have reliable vehicles that are not going to overly pollute the environment, okay? And they're going to be reliable, which means sustainable and get better mileage. It's common sense, folks. But when it comes to politics, it's not common sense because we have too many people that are fucking retards. So, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below on this one. I am going to love to watch the Attorney General of California lose. And I can't wait to see the Supreme Court go, no, sir. This is already decided. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Give the video a big thumbs up if you like what I do. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, stay petty, my friends.